This is going to be disorganized, but I just need to talk through some things surrounding a topic that I've been pretty vocal about. And because of that, I feel like I know that there's some people who might be interested to hear me during the start of this sort of process I'm working through currently, okay? This is going to be an overview of sorts, of a combination of events, of thoughts, rumors, insights, suspicions, predictions, whatever, about Diamond Baseball Holdings. This will not be my final podcast video, what have you, on this topic. I'll discuss that later. A couple things I got to get out there early. Just things where if we are not able to accept these basic facts, I think we probably can't really have a productive conversation about this. So I'm going to put them out there early. So if you're just like, nah, that ain't true, or no, that's not right, or you're an idiot, then you can disregard or check out or hate watch the rest of this video, whatever you want to do. The first thing is that Major League Baseball wants to control the minor league baseball landscape and who can be a part of it. That sounds grand conspiracy-ish. It is actually common sense. Like with, Walmart coming into town, it allows you to run out competition and then let profit run wild, right? You keep prices low. It seems like it's a great thing for everybody, or, you seem to be serving the community. You're saying all the right things. But in the end, it's just you, right? Control is important in business. If you are looking to profit and grow, have the potential growth that at least seems to be exponential, it would make sense then that Major League Baseball would benefit from having control of these other professional sports teams of good rapport, professional baseball teams, that really are, if you're looking at it, the only other teams for the most part. This is Indy Ball Nation. Obviously, we know better. But in the view of many, the system, you can own the whole thing or you can control the whole thing. That's good for you. Whether it's pricing or just control and keeping things under thumb, whatever it might be. More on that another time. But let's just agree that it's a common sense thing that we can accept. That seems to be happening. The other thing is that MLB is known to be looking to cut teams in the next professional development license agreement, the PDL. That is what ties minor league teams to Major League Baseball and affiliated teams, their affiliates in the Major League Baseball. So that has been something that has been floated. They have tried to push that in conversations in the past. They have tried to hint at it. They've tried to sort of feel out how people will react. And in the end, it's fairly accepted within the game, within the industry, that yes, MLB is looking to cut more teams from minor league baseball, potentially as many as half of them. And you might remember there were 160, 180-ish teams. I want to say 160, but I think there was more. And now they're down to 120 after cuts around 2020 and the restructuring. And much like then, these minor league teams cannot do much to stop them. The New York Yankees did not want to cut the teams that they ended up having to cut. If the New York Yankees can't stop it, the minor league teams will not. Okay? That's where we're coming from. So, there were previous rules against one owner having more than one team in a league. Those rules were dissolved a few years back. I'm having trouble pinning down exactly when. We will get there, I promise. Now, in just the past 4 years, Diamond Baseball Holdings has become the owner of 45 of the 120 Major League Baseball or minor league baseball teams. The rumored limits I'm seeing are 50 teams with no more than 14 in a league now. So that's what we've grown to. If that's accurate, it seems to be, because if we look at Diamond Baseball Holdings, if you will, they have 5 of the 8 California League teams, 4 of the 12 Carolina League teams. They have 6 of the 12 Eastern League teams, 11 of 20 International League teams, 3 of 12 Midwest League teams, 2 of 6 Northwest League teams, 2 of 10 Pacific Coast League teams, 5 of 12 South Atlantic League teams, 2 of 8 Southern League teams, and 5 of 10 Texas League teams. If you're keeping track at home, there's 13 AAA teams, 13 AA teams, 10 high A teams, and 9 single A teams. I think it's 14 in a level, not in a league, I believe is the correction on what I said earlier. So how did we get here? Well, here's the quick highlights based on what I know or have come to understand through talking to people who are in the weeds, who know the industry. I read the articles. Most of this is very public information. Some of the conjecture is just sort of rumor, reading tea leaves, whatever the case will be. I'll eventually point to what is what, maybe not as much in this episode, but as I said, this will be a longer thing eventually, and I will get to cite sources and clarify what is cited and what is not. But let's talk about this from the beginning. We're going to start somewhere else here. We're going to start at the Gold Clang Group, who is familiar to my friends here who are used to these Indy ball streets. Former owners of the St. Paul Saints, well-regarded St. Paul Saints, by the way. Bought and sold numerous organizations over time, the Gold Clang Group did. Marv Goldklang, who ran the show as far as I care, was very involved in the discussions during the minor league baseball contraction that happened back around 2020. Multiple owners of retracted teams to this day feel that they were not represented by Goldklang during those conversations well or honestly. Goldklang, by the way, who was encouraging minor league baseball owners to sign the new agreements that he was working with MLB, he's a minority partner of the Yankees. He's obviously very well connected with MLB. He's got friends there. So, of course, the St. Paul Saints, they happened to be one of the only teams that leapt from Indy ball to AAA, landing with the Twins, who picked up the tab on the transition. Pretty good deal. Worked out well for Goldklang, who could have guessed. 2 years later, Goldklang, though, sells the team to Diamond Baseball Holdings, making a fat profit thanks to the increased value of a AAA team versus an Indy ball team. Let's talk about Diamond Baseball Holdings. They were created by Endeavor, better known as owners of the UFC and WWE. Endeavor's ownership of minor league baseball teams was cited as an issue by Minor League Baseball Players Association due to Endeavor owning a talent agency as well, representing multiple players. So Endeavor had to divest from Diamond Baseball Holdings, selling them to the private equity firm Silver Lake. Now, that's not really divesting though, is it? Because Silver Lake is the majority owner of Endeavor. So right off the bat, what are we doing, right? It's a conflict of interest for Endeavor to own the talent agency representing players and teams. So instead, they'll just sell to the company that owns them down the chain, right? It's like everything's owned by just a few people. Different conversation. Fun fact, by the way, both Silver Lake and Major League Baseball heavily invested in Fanatics. Interesting. Diamond Baseball Holdings led by Pat Battle and Peter Freund? I don't care, dude. 2 guys with MLB ties is the point. Our boy there, Peter, he was not only a partner in the Yankees, like Goldklang, and was picked by Rob Manfred to oversee the entire reorganization of minor league baseball after allowing the prior agreement to expire in 2020. Well connected, as I said. So what does all of this mean? Why is it a problem? Well, it should be said that Diamond Baseball Holdings is not the only company owning multiple organizations. Parent clubs own multiple teams. Main Street Baseball owns 2. They used to own 4. There's like 12, I think, other but like owning 2 to 4, whatever it is, teams. Maybe up to 6 max. I don't remember. But the point is, they're not the only one. But certainly, nobody is owning over 40 teams. Okay? The centralization of power and interest and leverage is dangerous. I mentioned earlier that Major League Baseball is known to be looking to cut teams in the next PDL agreement coming up, right, in 2030. Potentially by as much as half, and that teams can't do much to stop them. Well, doesn't it make sense that Diamond Baseball Holdings and those running it have the inside track to controlling that process again and either cutting out other teams or getting a sweetheart deal in exchange for letting their own teams, who maybe are less profitable, get cut because they're just a budget line item to them. Quick right turn to the question of how could this affect Indy Ball? This is an Indy Ball focused channel. From that point, if we're cutting teams, well, what do we do with the rest of the prospects? Because the popular thing is these teams would never give up the right to more minor leaguers, more prospects that can cost them at the major league level. They're going to miss out on guys. Will they? What they'll likely do, if I had to predict, and we'll get away from my prediction in a second, I'm betting they cut 30 to start. Proof of concept. Bring it down to 90. Those 30 teams will play in like the complex leagues like they have now. There are more minor league teams out there, by the way. Arizona, Florida, complex teams. And they are playing all the time, playing like 11 a.m. games. You can check MILB.com. They're on the schedule. But we don't count them because they're not really for the fans. They're development teams. But the guys are getting games in. It can be done without the overhead of a team. The overhead of the team is only there for the benefit of playing games in front of people and profiting or not, whatever the case may be. It's not necessary to the process, at least in their eyes. Now, is it necessary for the game? Is it good for the game? Different conversation that I'd love to have. If they were to do that, Indy Ball becomes the next tool, which is, more guys are missing out on minor league baseball, affiliated ball. No problem. They can play in the complex league. Maybe they'll go play some Indy Ball. And then the Indy Ball teams, like they do now already, will sell the contracts to the successful guys. So it's leaning a little more scouting into the Indy Ball side. Much cheaper, much more reasonable than running a full team, getting out of the business. So that might explain why right around 2020, Major League Baseball said, let's do a partnership with all these indie leagues that we really didn't like to address or acknowledge in the past. All of a sudden, very interested in being partners. Now, what has that partnership yielded so far? Doesn't seem like much. So what's the benefit? Well, maybe there is benefit in Major League Baseball's eyes down the road. I tell the story that they're not afraid to lean on the scale. I know that because when I was in Lexington during the lockout that happened a couple years ago, we were well connected to major league players. We had people in the loop. We were looking at guys saying, hey man, if this season doesn't start up, you can come right on over here. Lexington's a good city, nice airport, not far from Cincy, major city. Come on out, play some ball. Show the fans that all this lockout business is not on the players. We're playing ball for love of it out here. It's the owners. And because it was a lockout, it was legal for them to do, and in fact, illegal for owners to say, and you can't play anywhere else. Because think about the logistics of that. That would be McDonald's saying, well, if you are not going to agree to terms, we're going to continue this negotiation. You're not allowed to work. We're not opening the store. Well, you're losing money. You need to make money, but you're not allowed to go to Wendy's, is what that would imply. That's not the case. If it is a lockout, which is different than a strike, you are legally protected in your right to go elsewhere. Yet, as we made moves to do that, I was sat down and told we will not be doing that. Now, internally, there was, and this is the clear Lexington, who I don't love of any, the past ownership, at least, of wrongdoing. We did not care. We were going to do what we wanted, because what are you going to do? Make a case of it? Brandon Phillips, close to the head of the Major League Player Association, he was on the roster. He was involved in the business side. His brother was managing PJ. So, violate that law. We would love to bring that to Tony Clark. Never came down to it. The lockout was cleared up. But in that moment, we learned from up above that MLB partnership, all of a sudden, we were not going to be injuring the interest of MLB owners by bringing players in during this lockout. Back to the topic here. Indy Ball could easily become the tool used to remove minor league baseball, which you might say, well, who cares? I mean, they're playing somewhere. Fair enough. But Indy ball already has probably too many teams. The unsustainable number of teams right now. We can't bring in. They're going to cut 30 markets. Some of them will jump to Indy ball. Some of them are just going to fade. Professional baseball is going to be gone in many of these communities, and you can fill in the blanks. I'm not going to get too far into that, frankly, right now. That's a different conversation of what does this all mean. But I'm just trying to get thoughts out of my head and fill you in on why I'm bothered by this and why I'm concerned about this at a glance, get some things out there, and then I'm going to go to work on it. So, minor league baseball teams, by nature of being owned by Diamond Baseball Holdings or by losing leverage because of what Diamond Baseball Holdings has going on, or just by being at the mercy of MLB and these new agreements, are now fully under MLB control, which, as I said in the beginning, does seem to be the goal here. It makes sense. That can affect a lot of things. Vendor selection. Work with who we want you to work with. Technology use, especially with Silver Lake, who is heavily invested in tech investments. Got a lot of tech companies on board. Klarna, that disaster of a thing. Yeah, Klarna's one of theirs. They've got a few different ones. Sales apps. One of the almost like Square, but they have another one. Watch that start to spread out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an app to order food in the future across all these different teams. Get rid of some cashiers, save some money that way, remove some local jobs. Who cares? Bottom line, focused, convenient. It's fast for the fans. It's good for everybody, except for the people who lost their job. But we're not going to think about that right now. They'll find new ones. Minor league baseball in that situation, just like Indy ball, becomes just a tool to be leveraged by Major League Baseball. For example, promos getting approved by Major League Baseball now. Wasn't like that back in the day, dude. You can kind of rip and get wild with it. Now, the Indy ball, man, Wild West, we can still do some stuff that's fun. But Major League Baseball, they're starting to say, let's reel it in a little bit. Now, you might remember, I just did a little bit of a thing about how the Orem Angels or whatever, you try to do Caucasian Heritage Night. So look, understood. Maybe you want to bring that in a little. Makes sense. But already just removing the creativity, bringing it into a safer realm, perhaps. And safety and comfort for the corporation tends to not overly benefit the person. League offices already are gone, making it difficult for organizations to find support, representation, or even just information when they need it. If you analyze statements when Diamond Baseball Holdings moves in and takes a team over, which I will be doing, I'll be doing a full breakdown on every one of these statements. The same things are said that those big box chain stores always say. We care about the community, the fans, the customers, the tradition. We're here to help, to bring something new, to bring what we do to this community. It's going to be great. What are they? Diamond Baseball Holdings has been playing quite nicely for now, mostly. Most fans who I've spoken to report little to no change when Diamond Baseball Holdings comes in. But those of us who pay attention might remember a town of Pearl, Mississippi. Now the Mississippi Mud Monsters, longtime Mississippi Braves. A few other things before that, if I recall. They had a team. Diamond Baseball Holdings buys them, says all the right things. Well, in time, their old ballpark, historic park, needs renovations, needs upgrades. Because there's a standard now, since 2020, in the new PDL agreement, for the facilities, for those players, that need to be reached by minor league baseball teams if they would like to have minor leaguers playing there, affiliated to major league clubs. Diamond Baseball Holdings says, we ain't paying for that. No, now we did buy this ballpark full well knowing the standard and the state of the ballpark. However, we're not going to do that. And they say, Pearl, Mississippi, you're going to need to shell out a few mil on this thing to get this up to standard. And Pearl, Mississippi, as you can imagine, not flush. They're like, we can't be doing it's political and economic malpractice for us to do that. Absolutely not. Well, we'll might have to go elsewhere then, because we can't be here because of the MLB facilities rules. And so they leave to a new town, abandoning that ballpark, those jobs, the community. Indy ball came in that instance. In that one. But it showed what all those things they say about community and bringing something different really means. Likewise in Modesto, historic team, old ballpark, standards need to be reached. Modesto, got to do it. Modesto, same situation. No, bro, we can't be doing that. Well, they're heading to another spot because someone else is willing to build them a ballpark, upgrade a ballpark, whatever the case may be. They already have agreements halfway done, most of the way done, that they can leverage so that they never actually have to pay the tab despite having billions of dollars and being backed with billions of dollars. You can leverage taking teams away from talents if they won't pay you. That is what they've shown. We've seen it with Oakland. This isn't a new concept. It's been going on for years. It's been going on. The Colts. You can pick your heartbreak team, right? New York baseball will tell you all about it. Now you might be saying, fair point. Well, these towns don't deserve to have a team if the facilities aren't up to standard. There is a standard set and you have to meet it. If you have a job and you're not meeting the standard of that job, you don't get to keep that job. You're not entitled to it. Fair. But what if I brought this to you? Remember who was in charge of those agreements when they were redone in 2020 and setting those standards in place? Yes, Peter Freund, the CEO of our friends at Diamond Baseball Holdings. So what we have here is Manfred's guy gets to set the standard, buy a team cheap, knowing they won't reach the standard. They're not up to it. He set the standards. He knows it. And then go, oh, you need to invest. You, the town, needs to invest your limited resources into this. Even though I bought it, I own it. Or else... And by the way, sometimes he doesn't own the ballpark. Sometimes, a lot of the time, the city or the town owns the ballpark. But they're leasing it. And to just drop this major expense on them is so that your business can work. So again, they buy low on this place. And then they don't invest any more into it. And then they pull back the team and they put them somewhere new with a new ballpark, far more valuable. And that's how private equity does that. I've seen it before, dude. I've seen private equity buy companies, and they never intend on making it work, only to cash it and leave it. This is not a new playbook. Additionally, teams are now just purely profit and bottom line focused. I interviewed with a Diamond Baseball Holdings team in this past offseason, and I asked them, because I had reservations, what is it like? Do they control what you do? And they said, absolutely not. They do not influence what we do. We are able to operate freely. It's a great experience. And there was a pause. He said, well, I mean, if we miss our profit goal for the year, obviously they'll have some input there. There it is. It's not just about that input. It is the looming threat of a missed goal for this year, the short term, the right now, the way that an investment firm gauges things, quarterly, annual profit. I used to work in community affairs for another minor league team, and we were very good at what we did, and we very much focused on playing the long game, giving out tickets, bringing people into the ballpark who maybe, I always give examples, maybe it's family with 2 younger kids. They might like to go, they might not. They don't know how the kids are going to do at this game. They don't know. They don't want to buy $48 worth of tickets just for it to not go well and they're leaving the second inning and it's a bad time. And guess what? They're never coming back. So what we do is whenever we have the opportunity, put tickets in hands. Get tickets in hands. They'll come out. They will spend money. Bonus. And then they might have a great time and they'll go, that was great. We got to do this. And fans for foreseeable future. Or they might go and it's a disaster, right? And they go, oh, kids aren't ready for that. But look, no loss on it. We gave it a shot. We'll come back another time. Maybe we know who to talk to about free tickets, right? We ran kids camps. Kid camp. I would approach somebody and say, hey, like, got these kids camps going on. They're great. And they asked about the price more than once, or they really thought, hey, you see them check out. We all know the interaction. come on. Free camp, discount the camp. Because it's not about the camp. The camp costs almost nothing to run. 2 full-time employees showed up. The players will come out because everyone wants to do community affairs stuff because it looks good. Pay for some waters, some cups, whatever. Expense it. Like gift cards for the players. Chipotle gift cards. Y'all know what it is. Whenever we could, we would, if this kid wasn't going to be here because they didn't have equipment or because they didn't have the money for it, bring the kid. Show up to camp. It's fine. Get you on the list. It's not what it's about. So what it's about is connecting that person to the ballpark, because I obviously am not going to be there in 20 years. My boss probably might not be there in 20 years. But you know who will be here in 20 years? It was Delaware. Spoiler alert. And figure out who the team was. The people of Delaware tend to stick around and be loyal. Now they have an introduction to professional baseball. This cool experience on the field doing camp for free. A favor to them. It came with free tickets, by the way. All of a sudden, maybe in 20 years, this kid's come back from college, bringing a couple friends. 10 years later, showing up with his own kids, taking his own kids to camp. Because it's about being a part of the community. Because when you're part of the community backs you and everyone benefits. You can't do that when you're worried about what the bottom line is in 6 months. The money has to be in hand now. Goodwill with the community doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. This may seem like a deep dive. I swear it's not. I've shied away from a deep dive for, years at this point on this it's going to take lots of time. It's not the most indie ball centric thing. As I said, it's loosely related, but not really indie ball centric. Not the sweet spot. Quick way to get blacklisted. Don't love it. As somebody who wants to work in the industry. So I've reached out to larger reporters. I reached out to other journalists, people who work in sports, people who work in journalism specifically focused on monopolies, political journalists, local journalists, national. Talk to them even. Gave them the rundown. Interest. In the end, no one does anything on it. So all right, whatever. But then Diamond Baseball Holdings bought team number 45 and announced it yesterday. I live in Reading, Pennsylvania. And they bought the Reading Fightin' Phils. And there's a couple things that bother me about this. Not just because I know how they do business, but because Reading Fightin' Phils are potentially, they're one of the longest tenured teams anywhere. The longest affiliation between a AA team and a major league team, or a minor league team and a major league team. They've been there forever. It was the Reading Indians. It was the Reading, I want to say Braves in there for a while. They've been there for a long time. It's a historic ballpark. So what bothers me is that when these standards came out, the new standards for facilities, Reading had to bend over backwards to make this work. Because it's a historic ballpark. You can't just do whatever you want to it. It's a historic site. So they had to build a whole new building in the outfield with a new clubhouse, new weight rooms, new facilities, batting cages, all that. Whole bunch of work. New event center on top, add a bonus. And it costs $7.5, probably about $8 million by the time it's done in taxpayer money from the state and from the citizens around Reading, right? Now, did the owner not have the money? Well, the owner is the Philadelphia Phillies. Fun. I'm literally wearing a Phillies shirt. Fun. Great. Don't know if you know who the owner of the team is, but he's got the cash, right? We're wasting more than that on mediocre relief pitching. Tell you that much. So taxpayers pick up the tab because we want to keep the damn team in town. Reading's had a lot of business leave. It sucks, right? The town doesn't suck, but it sucks what's happened. Screwed. It's tails all the time. I'm not going to go into detail. You know it. Industry leaves. They don't care. So, without getting too mad right now, the city steps up. The state steps up. Money goes in. The work happens. It's not been done for a year. Months it's been done. And they went, great. That helped the value. Time to sell to private equity. Cool. And I know that beef isn't with Diamond Baseball Holdings. It's with the people doing it. I don't fault every owner who sold. I fault the Phillies for selling. Mom and pops who had to grind for years, for decades, barely scraping by, all of a sudden minor league baseball became profitable with this new deal. Good for them. Make your money, get out. I understand. I get how we get there. But it's only going one direction, right? It's only going away from mom and pops, from local owners. And for the most part, it's going to private equity. Now I'm tired of waiting for someone else to do this damn deep dive. So I'm going to do it. Because I got questions. Is this legal? Both to own so many teams and to build the system that you then get to dominate? I suspect yes on at least most of it. But let's see. Let's dig around. Let's ask a few questions. Let's get on a radar. What other cities are at risk here? Pearl and Modesto won't be the last, tell you that much. Promise you, won't be. What can we learn from the cities that get abandoned by Dime Baseball Holdings? Who can talk to us? I'm sure we got a few. I see them on Twitter. So we'll talk to them. What does this all mean for the future of baseball in this country? That already Major League Baseball has made it clear they do not care about small towns. Look at the map of where professional baseball is anymore. Major League Baseball never even touches from Kansas City and St. Louis all the way out to Cali. Oh, they'll pop into Vegas now. Sick. After you screw Oakland. Excellent. Look up above Colorado. It's nothing. There were minor league teams there, and guess what? Not anymore. They're in the Pioneer League now, struggling to survive any ball. Thanks. Is it too late to stop any of this? Can we, as fans, customers, citizens, voters, anything? Can we do anything on the legal side, on the practical side to make the system stop working? Because right now it's just printing money and just letting them interchange and do whatever they want. Maybe it isn't getting a rule in place. Maybe it's saying you can buy another team, but we're going to take as much action as we can to make sure people know not to show up to it. And yes, there's a hypocritical element here because that will hurt the employees at that place. But sometimes you do need to figure something out because right now they don't care about any of the employees. Obviously, you can say they do because they keep paying you and they say the right things. But as we've learned in Pearl and Modesto and soon to be others, they don't. So let's see. Let's investigate options. Let me know if you want to be involved in this. If you're still watching this deep in, maybe you do. Maybe you have thoughts. If you have anything you want to share, suggestions, contacts, hit me up. I already am in indie ball world. Making enemies because I'm stupid, by the way, but I'll deal with that later. Future rhyme problems. I'm already in this side of it because I don't like Major League Baseball because it smells what's going on. It always does. The way they treat people. If you've seen anything about the way things have worked historically in the Dominican, you get it. Don't get me started on Venezuela. Minor League Baseball, though, has always had a spot in my heart. And it still does. But it's something that I can't engage with anymore in the way that I want to because I can't trust it. Because what I've heard from everybody is they're buying up everyone. And I have said it because I've heard it from people in the industry who know there's no way that Reading will ever sell to Dime Baseball Holdings. It doesn't make sense. The Phillies own it. They love to own it. The city has a great arrangement with them. It's great. Months after upgrades. Can't trust anybody. So let's talk about them. Thank you for going on this little journey with me. I appreciate it. Dark one, heavy one. I'm working on American Association report cards. Head on a swivel on that one. We're done. This meant to be 15 minutes. It's 35. What a moron. Who am I? It's a terrible podcast.